Alright, so today I'm doing a timing chain on my engine for the Sentra. And this is for the I don't know if you can see it there. For the QG18 engine, 1.8 liter 2005 Nissan Sentra. So I was looking over my manual, and normally these manuals are pretty good. They got lots of pictures and lots of information, but being that this is for a Sentra and 200SX 95 through 2006 models, there's a lot of vehicles and a couple different engines covered in one manual. So it's expected that it's not a step-by-step for every single engine. And I didn't see an illustration on the manual about how to set the timing chain, along with the sprockets and then the crankshaft. So first off, you got what I did was I put the #1 piston at TDC. This is my screwdriver, and I turned the crank until the screwdriver came all the way up, and then it started to go back down, and that's how I knew it was at top dead center. Then after that, I made sure that the valves were closed, because if it's on the compression stroke, all valves would be closed to create compression in the piston. So that's how you know that the cams are set to the top dead center also. And you can see that the lobes, they're pointing out on this is the exhaust side, and then the intake side also, the lobes are pointing out. And then the sprockets, the cam sprockets, you have one here. This is the exhaust side, this is the intake. For this one, it's the VVT sprocket. So according to the manual, what you have to do to this one before you take it out or whatever, there's these holes. So in this one, you want to shoot compressed air. It's at about 40 psi, and that unlocks the internals of this so that you can rotate a little bit and then stick something in there to lock it in place, and then you can go to remove it. That's because this advances and retards the timing with oil pressure, but since the engine side of the car, you're using air pressure to get it to unlock, and that's how you do that. So apart from that, the timing chain has 3 different colored links. I don't know if they're gonna come out here, but you can see that this one here is slightly darker than this one and this one. So that's one of the timing points, and it corresponds with this little notch right there. And then there's also a dot in the front of so a dot, notch, and then the different color link right there. So there you go. It's a little darker than the other one. Then you'll also find this on the intake side. The link is also slightly darker right there than the rest of them. And then this link, you line it up with this notch right here. So line those up, that link with that notch, that link with that notch and dot. And then at the bottom, for the crank, is the same story. There's a different colored link. This one's a little darker. And see how that one's like blackish, bluish. It's darker than the other links. And then that lines up with this sprocket here, and there's a dot on the sprocket that tells you where that link is supposed to line up with. So if you set your pistons to top dead center, and then you have your cams oriented in the positions that I mentioned with the valves closed, because you want to be on the compression side, on the compression stroke. And then from then on, just line up your links with your timing marks. on the both cam sprockets and then at the crankshaft, and that'll get you in time. Apart from that, make sure that your guides are in there correctly and that everything fits well and nothing's like hung up on everything. Right here we have our timing chain tensioner. I still have my little Allen key in there for the plunger. Once I verified everything's in time and I've torqued down my bolts on the cam sprockets, I'll be good to like pull this out and release the tension on it, and then I'll be good to pull this out and release the tension on that also. So that is how you set timing on a QG18 1.8 liter Nissan Sentra, the 2005 model. I've noticed that on some of the pictures in the manual, this sprocket is a little different. So I don't know if 2005 and 2006 are different than the other years, but the manual says that specifically for this engine, that's how you get this cam sprocket to unlock, so that you can rotate it and get this set in there so it stays in place. This is better done with a second pair of hands if you have somebody to help you to hold the link down here while you fiddle with the cams up here, so that this doesn't move and you skip time. I didn't have an extra pair of hands, but I do have these clamps. They're plastic, and what I did, I just set the crank timing, put it in place like that, and then that just held it in place so that that would stay in place, and then I can fiddle with it up here. It worked perfectly. This didn't move at all, and then I was able to set everything up in time up here. So yeah, so that's how I did it anyways. And after you set everything in time, you release the plunger tensioner, and then what you want to do is rotate your engine a few times, and then make sure that once you get back to top dead center a couple times, that all your links are still in the same orientation and the links are still lined up with the timing marks on the sprockets. And then that should get you in time for the QG18. All right, I'm gonna finish this job off. The reason I did this was because I did a head gasket job on this engine, because this engine I got used for the 2005 Nissan Sentra that I have, the one with the blown rod. This is the engine that's going into the car now. So I got it used, decided to do a head job, and yeah, get a new timing chain, new guides, and this sprocket came with the kit. We're doing a new water pump, and it came with a bunch of gaskets, like the valve cover gasket and everything. So decided to just do all of that before I put this into the Sentra, just because everything is much easier to do when an engine's outside of the car. And since this is a replacement engine for the car anyways, there was no reason to put it in the car and then do all the work. I decided to just do all the work before I put it in the car. All right, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, that's just how I did it. I didn't see a real illustration in the book. There was illustrations and blow-ups of the timing components for other engines, but not for this particular one. So I just decided to make this video. Some people like to see things visually instead of just reading words. I know I do. So hopefully this helps somebody out. All right. Later. Thank you for watching.